Welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere with your host, Chris Parker.
Hello, this is Chris Parker, and we are back with Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere and Erik Jan Bijvank. Welcome, coming in from Amsterdam, and I've known Erik for, many, many years. We met at Hard Rock Cafe, I think, where having chicken wings, and your sister worked with me, and you ended up making what we think is the first, at least your agency at that time, the first mobile app for fleets, managers, and mobility in Europe. And that company back in the day, the purpose of that company was doing fat shit, creating fat shit. So hopefully we get into that. So Erik, can you introduce yourself, please, and tell us who you are, or what do you do, and most importantly, why do you do what you do?
All right. So I'm gonna try. Well, you already know my name now. There's a couple of things I would like to share with you. So I was born in the Netherlands and raised abroad. I've become a modern nomad thanks to that. I live in Amsterdam, and with a particular reason. I think as Amsterdam is ranked among the most culturally diverse cities in the world. And so in Amsterdam, I feel the cosmopolitan atmosphere that I like so much when I'm traveling. So I walk out and I get a sense of multiculturalism that inspires me. I'm a sports enthusiast as well, and deeply interested in what drives people for many reasons. Trying to sort of understand why, on an individual level, people make choices and how that reflects particular group think or group behavior. Mm-hmm. That's mostly me. I'm a beekeeper, so I'm also into nature now. I do not hug trees, but I really dislike people chopping them down. Mm-hmm. My thinking around that has become stronger. So I'm actually trying to sort of see what I can do around that. Anyway, so these kind of things, and talking about purpose, what drives me, and that's a sort of a question that I've been walking around with for quite some time now. I don't really know, but it has to do with helping others and creating individual freedom. Mm-hmm. So through one achieve the other, I think. So it's outward and inward.
Why is that important to you?
Well, I don't know. I feel very energized after a meeting with someone, and then understanding or getting a feeling that I just helped the other to sort of overcome thoughts or fears or anxieties and fears, basically the same, but to sort of plant a new seed for their future thinking and for their activities. Yeah. So that's what triggers me. So it could also be within organizations when it comes to, for instance, digital transformation. People have a sort of thinking around that, but no, it's most likely and was embedded in old thinking. And why not sort of try to take that out of that old thinking into a new approach or something, or new. So these kind of things I like. Yeah. So it's helping others, and through that creating individual freedom.
Yeah, nice. And the three sort of areas that come to my mind that I know you've been involved in is you had a sort of a mobile app, digital agency in the past, which I think you're still a shareholder of, and you're also involved in new initiatives. One at least is in the VR and education space, which is super, super cool. and you also sometimes help corporates with their digital and mobile strategies. And can you summarize a little bit about the red thread through all of that, and maybe dive into any one of those and share what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, yes. I guess it has to do with the purpose again. So, working within organization, or I used to be like many other people, just working at or with a company, not my own. And after a period of time, decided that working with this company just like that did not allow me to think like I wanted to think and to try what I wanted to try. So the only way to do that basically was to break free from corporate environments and start my own organization. And it had to do again with freedom. So I think freedom is an important thing, but you just can't be free. So it has to do so. It has to sort of, stick to something else. And that had to do with the building. Or look, one of the other things that I find very interesting is innovation, right? So digital innovation, everything that has to do with digital. So the approach there was to sort of take the digital innovations mobile at that time and to move forward with that and see how we could, back then just myself and a colleague, to see how we could surprise organizations, but also ourselves continuously in that journey. And that was, again, helping the other and creating individual freedom. But then in this case, it was the organization. So, and then we grew the organization and tried to sort of keep that purpose alive. And we transformed that into building Fat Shit because, Fat Shit was... And
for the international audience, Fat Shit, spelled P-H-A-T, and translated back to Dutch, what does Fat Shit mean to you?
So I think it is something that is built and that surprises and amazes the other end, so the receiving end, basically. So something that they did not expect, that they surprised in a positive way. So it has positive impact, more so than they anticipated.
Yeah, and I love it because we go back, 10 years ago, maybe not so long, but say 8 years ago, when having been a customer of the agency and then came back and a bit was a supplier to the agency, doing some customer experience design work with you. And even back then I was, for me, it was purpose-based strategy, purpose-based design. And you as the partners of that agency, you actually wrote down that the purpose of your company was to create Fat Shit.
Yes.
And just the fact that you had explicitly written it down and used it as a sort of a guiding light, a northern light, and it's still part of your DNA, I think is awesome. Yeah,
well, I think the funny thing about the purpose there was I very specifically know the place where we came up with this particular purpose. It was in Cape Town. The partners of the organization, the three of us were having dinner, and we had a glass of wine, and we were discussing what we were actually doing and why we were doing it. And we had a hectic debate around it, because at first I thought, create Fat Shit is nice, but no corporate organization will ever buy such a thing. Like, what is your purpose? Like, to build Fat Shit. So what is Fat Shit? So, and then the other two sort of convinced me in a way that was the right thing to do. And then I started living it, basically. So, yeah, it's... I had to get out of my corporate thinking into more entrepreneurial thinking.
Yeah. Which is a journey. So you seem to get yourself in trouble while drinking over dinner. As I remember, there's a time that we were drinking at an Indian restaurant in London, and We had just done a strategy one of the highlights of my, career with LeasePlan was actually doing that mobile strategy where BVN Meunier, your agency, my team, we created an immersive experience. We invited, commercial people from all over the world from LeasePlan to come in and experience the power of mobile applications. And we had my procurement manager, I think in Italy, bought some iPhone 3s because those weren't SIM locked.
Yeah.
And then we created this sort of adventure that people had to go through and use all the capabilities, and then had them present back their ambition for the company, having used. It was absolutely brilliant. And when we were celebrating that over Indian, it was literally. I wish I still had the napkin. We literally sketched out what would the prototype app be based on what we just heard.
Yeah.
With that cost, and we basically struck that deal while drinking in an Indian restaurant in London, and then you guys built it, and I think parts of that app are still alive in some of the LeasePlan country mobile apps. It's a
and I think the thinking around it is what is the foundation for all the LeasePlan applications. Well, maybe. But that's my thinking around it. Yeah. No. So yeah, which is cool. I think so. The organization, the purpose, and so on, really nice. And I think the purpose was or is the soul of the organization. I think we got many people in it, served as a sort of magnet, and I think the interesting part of that organization or the agency still is that it's an environment, a group environment, where you can collectively work and realize that particular purpose, and at the same time try to sort of figure out what your own or what your individual purpose is, and if the two align, there's a lot of energy and foundation for really cool stuff that will happen in the future. So I think, so purpose, individual purpose, organizational. I mean, the two ideally align, and if they don't, then eventually one will stop or you will go somewhere else. But those were really great times. Yeah.
Absolutely great times. And I think that's, we had a conversation recently about your superpower. And my superpower, because while both of us do, coaching and mentoring and, helping people succeed, but at the moment, just before Corona time, and your assignment with one of the large Dutch corporates is getting wrapped up, unfortunately, because of the Corona pressure, I think, on them. Both of us are looking for that environment where we can bring our superpower to bear as the next assignment. The words we came up with are interesting, and I'll let you share those in a second. But reflecting on the conversation we're having right now, it seems you do have this balance of what I tease you about of having a captain corporate baseline or foundation, and yet there's also this reflective, innovative, challenging, opening. So you embody the operational excellence of traditional constrained corporate, but then somehow open it up. So So Erik, what is your superpower?
I don't know. Well, we discussed this yesterday. So so one of the things that we came up yesterday was fresh ideas, right? So which is interesting. I think when I come to the table, we can discuss a lot of things, but I will always try to find an opposite angle of looking at the same issue and to see what comes out of that. So it might be, I'm not going to try any examples, but the thing right now in this Corona environment is, and one of the reasons I think many organizations get stuck right now is that in times of fear and many difficulties, the ones we're facing right now, they don't opt for the fresh ideas to challenge or to sort of solve their issues, but they revert to old procedures and old thinking more so than anything else. That's what I've been experiencing right now. So, and I think in these times, fresh ideas are what we need, or what organizations need to sort of get through this crisis alive and to and not get too harmed. But then again, that's just my thinking. But I think my superpower is the fresh ideas part, and being able to create a team around that particular fresh idea and then transform that into a new process or a new product or a combination of both, and see that grow to a certain level. And energize it. Perhaps through nice dinners. I don't know. Yeah.
Nice. And so that fresh ideas, bringing it in, building the team, and you are also an expert of many things, so a bit of a generalist. How do you go through, what is your process? And this is out of my own interest as well, but maybe for the people listening. What is your thought process when you decide what to focus on and decide what to invest your time in? How do you go through that decision-making process?
It's a good question. It's one of those things that I've been thinking about a lot, and I think the main driving power is gut feeling, combined with a kind of a sense of possibilities, opportunism or something. So I see something, or I see a couple of things, I combine them. I read a lot, so I read all kinds of books, not so much management books, but more as in creative power, creative visualization, all these kind of things. So more the spiritual side of management literature. So not.
Do you have an example of a favorite there that we can call out for people?
Yeah, I will get to that in a moment.
Yeah.
Not by heart. I'm not so good at talking. So more that side, and try to visualize how things can be. So I can feel what it would be like if things would be a success. So I can work towards that particular feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I'm also like I just mentioned, a beekeeper. When you open up a hive, and the hive is in good condition, what you will notice is that 50,000 or maybe 100,000 bees are working like crazy and making a lot of noise, buzzing noise, but are in no way dangerous or paying any attention to you. What they're doing is they're focusing on their specific tasks and doing that. And I don't think we have figured out everything about the beehive yet, because how can 100,000 bees know intuitively what they should be doing? So, but I think the visualization that I do or try to do many times, but I need to have a specific mindset around that, is what drives me. Mm-hmm. So it's these two things.
Again, I'm triggered by, and I think this is one of the reasons why it's always interesting to work with you and to contribute with your projects, is that you have this balance of intuition, if you will, as well as a bit of a rational side, because your background, you actually have a management consulting background, yes. and then a balance into entrepreneurial, running your own agency, and then helping companies, truly corporate people like myself, actually achieve their goal. Like crazy idea of let's make the first mobile app for Europe. If we can turn the corner a little bit and go into VR training, how what is that emotion that you're seeing in the future that you're planning backwards into your VR training initiative, which I've experienced myself firsthand. You know, I've had it on.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And what's that?
What did you think?
Well, I think I was the first person, as usual, to have broken the system, because the first time we went through it didn't work. But maybe it was also because my own my grasp of the Dutch language is seriously wanting.
Right.
But to the well, why don't you tell what the training app is intended for, and then I will come back and share what I thought about it, because in order for me to share what I thought about it, they need to know what it is. So can you give a few words on what is this VR training app?
Yeah, so the VR training app is an application, or basically an interactive VR experience.
Yeah, better.
Right, so you put on the goggle and then you will experience something. And the topic at this point in time is ethnic profiling. And ethnic profiling, as we all know, is kind of a hot topic at the moment. And one of the reasons that I feel, or I'm almost convinced, but I feel very strongly that since there's so much information coming to us on a daily basis, that we've become numb to a certain extent for all that information. So, like normal e-learning or just reading papers, doesn't do the trick anymore. I think when it comes to the challenge to get something stick in someone's head in very little time. So to be able to do that, we need to upgrade the level of excitement, basically, when you are taught something. And this can be done, if by an individual, his or herself, because you really enjoy thinking or talking about the topic. But if that's not the case, and you need to be forced to do something, I mean, as in forced within an organization, or forced because your boss would like to do it, or forced because you need the certificate to get to a next level, then I think we need to sort of look at different angles to get that level of excitement going. And I think VR, virtual reality, having the glasses together with the sound, and perhaps maybe in the future some more additions like wind or smell, we can actually sort of fool the brain into a real environment, real situation. And I think that is as exciting as it can get right now. So, and then obviously if you have the right quality of the video material and the interactiveness in it. So normally it's just a thing that you see from beginning to the end. You push play and that's it. Mm-hmm. But if you're capable of also sort of directing, maybe even unknowing, direct the movie or the training in a certain direction, you get sucked into the experience even more. And the thing, what we have seen, and it's very powerful. What we have seen is that people in this field, like the police who are working with it right now, is that they're a bit reluctant beforehand, but when they put on the glass, you can actually see their physique change from sort of relaxed, as in I'm just here talking to you and so on, into a battle-ready, what do you call that? Way they appear.
Situationally alert.
Yes.
Because not being a police officer, but when I put the goggles on, and the setting was outside of a train station in the Netherlands, and that's a very common social space in the Netherlands. And then there were all these human things going on, people walking by, some hoodlamish looking people over here of a certain skin tone or not, and then there's some shady looking drug dealy thing or something going on, and there's the loner over on the bench, and you sort of, and then all of these things are happening around you, and you have to look and see what's in the frame, and then basically you're asked to make decisions on, I don't know, what the best use of your time is, or how to achieve your mission or public safety or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then you go up to the loner, or you go up to the hoodlum-looking people, or the drug dealing sort of people.
But it's a real life situation.
They're life situations, and it's sort of a choose your own adventure, but it's live, and it's immersive, and it's and I'm sure there's something, you know, physiological or something going on, because you know, I think your brain really believes that it is in the situation to some level. So
no, but I mean, so it's meant as a dialogue starter. And it works. So when people put down the glasses, the goggle, I mean, obviously the training or the Kickstarter for the dialogue is done, but they can't stop talking about it, because they would like to discuss with you what just happened and why they chose a particular path. Mm-hmm. And I think that by itself is already so much more exciting and impactful on an individual level than just doing an e-learning and clicking away questions and looking at 2D images.
So I think not only a dialogue of you know, between the participants, because you can have multiple people do it at the same time and talk about why did you make the decision, but maybe also with the instructor or the expert. And what I really liked about the because that in itself was already incredible, but then the data aspect of it as well. That you know, that the data aspect, of course, is improving all the time. But then to
that's a secret, huh? No.
Oops, sorry, never mind.
No.
Yeah. But the discovering of how, you know, what percentage of people went in certain directions, and also how long it took them to make decisions. That they, you know, it's just so data rich to discover. Okay, well, not only what are these biases that we could talk about because we see them and feel them, but what sort of biases does the data show that you can come back and say, well, did you know that, you know, this also might be true? And I think that is profound. Yeah.
So I think it is very much data inspired and human centered, or human centered and data inspired. So we've got this first version right now. It's out there. It was supposed to be a pilot, but, you know, it was actually too good for a pilot version. So now it's the real life thing. Mm-hmm. And obviously the challenge now is to sort of come up with new versions of the same training, the same approach, to I don't know, tackle more in depth the ethnic profiling part, or take into account other directions. So not topic ethnic profiling, but something else, like safety, for instance.
Cool. So we've got about a minute or so left. Maybe can you start to close with, and let's focus on this VR thing. Give me one or two examples of perfect use cases or perfect customers for this, and how can they get in touch with you?
Right. So I think sort of douane customs would be very interesting for this particular training approach, like the ethnic profiling, or they're not ethnic profiling, but profiling as a topic would be very interesting. I think safety as well, safety regulations. So dangerous environments. So you would visit a premise with dangerous goods or stuff, and you need to be taught very quickly, you know, what not to do, what to do. And I think then, you know, for quick learning, repetitive quick learning, various people and so on, that these kind of
cool.
That would very much be something that we could do.
Nice. I could also imagine like customer experience design. So if you wanted to have a branded experience, you know, with a human-to-human experience, and train people on how to resolve maybe conflicts in a retail situation or something. But Erik Jan, how can people? I will post your LinkedIn. Is there another way that people can reach out to you?
Yes, they can send obviously email to erikjan@scopic.nl.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Yes. Well done.
Learn more at ebillion.com/podcast.